Do it. Do it. I am in the sensational place of God. Where alone I am targeting the enemy army. Do it. Do it. Asterisk. I present this to you in service. Before moving toward the written part, I request all of you, if you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, please subscribe. If you like the video, don't forget to like, share, and comment to tell us how you want us to create more videos. Asterisk. The next day, after offering the morning prayer, we had breakfast and reached the foot of the command hill. Today, I could intensely feel the presence of both characters from the unique love story. Along with him, the veteran had brought an old friend to help. He had made a dummy man out of a ghee container, shaped just like a man. A white paper was stuck on him. Asterisk. We dug a trench at the base of the hill and placed the dummy in a deep pit, along with a man who was to guide us by pointing to where the bullet hit. After the bullet hit, we had to stick a small paper on the echo of the gunfire. Since we couldn't clearly see the target after every shot, asterisk, we started firing from 500 meters. During this time, the veteran kept explaining how the previous night's discussion was being implemented practically. After a few shots at 500 meters, we moved to 600. Then gradually increased the distance until we reached 900 meters. But I was missing the target. The veteran said, "Look, son, with a Dragunov rifle, you can easily hit a target even from a distance of 1,000 meters, but you're failing at 900 meters. Do you know why?" I shook my head. He continued, "There are 2 or 3 main reasons. Asterisk. First, your rifle had been lying in the sun too long. I deliberately ignored it to see how you'd handle it. When a rifle gets too hot, pressure increases in the chamber, and the bullet misses the target. Asterisk. Second, this is your first time firing with a Dragunov rifle. It's semi-automatic, unlike standard sniper rifles. This makes the recoil stronger. You're gripping the rifle too tightly and leaning your shoulder forward, which is affecting your aim. Asterisk. Third, the sunlight is too harsh. Now it's not the ideal time to fire." Asterisk. I asked, "Sir, how can I protect myself from the sunlight?" Asterisk. He replied, "You can't stop the sunlight, but you can adjust your target. Tell me, how big is a human chest?" Asterisk. I said, "Roughly 8 to 10 inches tall and 6 inches wide." Asterisk. Good. And the head? Asterisk. About 2 feet long and 18 to 20 inches wide, excluding the shoulders. Asterisk. He said, "Exactly. So instead of aiming at the head, aim for the chest. A sniper bullet too. The chest is just as deadly. And if needed, follow it with a second shot." Asterisk. I understood what he meant, and the third and fourth shots I fired hit the target successfully. The veteran patted my back and said, "See, it was a small thing. You understood quickly." Asterisk. I replied, "Yes, sir. Though I could have said, it took me years of sniper training to get to this point." It would have felt disrespectful to him. Asterisk. Then he said, "Let's go eat," and I nodded. Asterisk. We went home for lunch, prayed the noon prayer, and returned to examine the impact. By evening, we wrapped up and went back home. Asterisk. That night, the veteran continued telling me stories from his life full of war tactics, pilot details, and the timing of taking the perfect shot. The next day, we worked again until afternoon. After that, I took permission to leave and returned home. Asterisk. My thoughts were filled with the shadow of an unseen Yusuf Khan. After reaching Pimple, I got busy preparing for my training course again. Asterisk. In this cruel world, many Yusuf Khans and Shia Bonos have fallen prey to society's blind laws, and even if someone tries to cross the skies for love, they often go unappreciated. Asterisk. On Monday, I fired again from 900 meters and hit every target precisely. That rifle was the same one we read about in Riders in America, with an effective range of 2,000 meters. My shots were praised, and my performance that day was the best. Asterisk. Later that night, the veteran passed away. Those 2 days with him were incredibly valuable. Asterisk. We were now being tested against the devil himself. I secured first position, and Serdar Khan got second. He had joined 5 years before me, and had been on 3 cross-border missions. Friendly, humorous, but only with friends. For enemies, he was a fierce Patentall, fair-skinned, with sharp features. A deadly marksman from Marden who could take down anyone with a single bullet. He congratulated me on securing first position. In a month, he was flying to America. We spent the month preparing attending English-speaking classes, getting our passports and visas ready. 3 or 4 days before departure, we were allowed to visit our homes. After 2 or 3 days at home, we returned and finally boarded the flight to our next destination, the Royal City of New Jersey, USA. In America, there were 35 sniper teams from different Muslim countries. Some had only one sniper from their country, others had 4. India had sent to Hindus Hedkont and Rajpul. Both looked at us with eyes full of hatred. In 2 or 3 days, the administration had become busy with internal affairs, and with the start of the week, classes officially began. Everyone came in civilian clothes, as no specific uniform instructions had been issued. The number of participants was considerable, including 7 girls. These girls came from across America. Among them were Captain Jennifer, Lieutenant Watson, Sergeant Ribbonwatch, and Sergeant Normal. On the other side, there were also 2 more girls and 2 men with diabetes. 1 girl was from Japan. Interestingly, no one came from countries like France, the UK, China, or Russia. There were participants from Sri Lanka, Nepal, Bangladesh, China, and Indonesia. And even from Afghanistan, although those Afghan participants didn't look typically Afghan. None of them had beards except for me. Even mine was more of a symbolic beard, with just a few visible hairs. Most of the men were clean-shaven. My companion, Sardar Khan, also shaved, though he had thick mustaches. The early period passed freely. Just calling someone sir didn't mean you remembered their name. But in this matter, my memory was sharp, especially after meeting Usted. I had become more observant of everything around me, and no longer ignored even the smallest things. I memorized almost all the names from the class roll during attendance. When someone stood up and introduced themselves and their country, I mentally logged their name and would rehearse it until the next person stood up. That way, I wouldn't forget their name. Classes on the other side began formally. Instructor Leopold began teaching. After attending 2 weeks of English language classes, I still found it a little difficult to understand the fluent English spoken by this ghost of a cricketer-type instructor. I managed to get by as I was educated and had a decent command of English. But Sardar Khan struggled. He had only studied up to matriculation and, that to barely. There are millions of people with similar educational backgrounds. The instructor's words went right over his head. During break, I discreetly informed the instructor about Sardar's difficulty. The instructor shrugged and politely said, "It's very difficult to teach and translate everything, but I'll try my best." The Indian sniper Shrikant Gayan said in Hindi, "Make sure to study before coming to class." Since Hindi and Urdu are very similar, I understood immediately. I responded, "I think we're not here to do a PhD, referring to our actual goal of sniper training." Though Shrikant may not have understood every word, he got the tone and emotion. He quickly changed the subject and started a lecture on "This is part of the learning process." We had to stay quiet, otherwise Sardar Khan would have lost his temper, and only I knew that under his smiling exterior, he was a dangerous and aggressive Pathan. He harbored deep hatred for Indians and believed they deserved no mercy. After class, we all stepped outside. Some people lit cigarettes, and a few wandered off. I and Sardar stood a little away from the group. I started informing him about the key points from the instructor's lecture. Just then, the beautiful blonde-haired Jennifer came toward us and said cheerfully, "Hi, I'm Jennifer." She casually extended her hand to shake. Even if she hadn't said her name, I already knew it. In fact, I was certain everyone had memorized it simply because she was charming and beautiful. I smiled and asked playfully, "So, what's the sentence for this beauty?" Asterisk, she laughed and replied, he's my friend. Is it only my name, you know? She was an American girl, not a Pakistani one. She didn't hide her beauty, I teased. You could say the same about the rest of the class. Asterisk, she replied with interest, you can ask me anyone's name if you want. Asterisk, she pointed to a tall, dark man from Sri Lanka and said, introduce me to this guy. Asterisk, I said, Mr. Suraj, may I borrow a minute? Asterisk, he came over smiling and said, my name is Meeting, right? Asterisk, he shook hands with me, with Sardar, and with Jennifer too. He joked, I didn't know my name was so beautiful that even such charming people would remember it. Clearly, he was referring to Jennifer. At that moment, Sergeant Clark, the American who had been smoking, walked out of the building. Jennifer pointed at him. I made a face and said, I don't like his name at all. Clark sounds more like a comment box than a name. Asterisk, Jennifer was testing me. She asked, what would you say about the Israeli girl with black hair? Asterisk, two Indian guys were chatting with the Israeli girl at the time, and this is how human friendships grow, often friendships that can lead to deep bonds or even death. Asterisk, I laughed and said, well, I wouldn't name her Scarlet, that's for sure. Asterisk, Jennifer replied, then what name would you give her? Asterisk, I replied, anything, even if her father's name wasn't WhatsApp. Asterisk, Jennifer mentioned Watson again, her American teammate, and said, I'm impressed. Her smile had a hint of surprise. I smiled and replied, and I'm entry batting today. Asterisk, then I pointed toward the second Israeli girl, whose outfit seemed designed for attention. Asterisk, Jennifer said, in a meaningful tone, if you like that dress, I have something even better. Startled, I said, no, you already look great in jeans. Asterisk, I was just trying to change the subject at the entryway. Suraj smirked and said knowingly, looks like the American beauty is testing our Pakistani brother. Asterisk, I nodded. I was feeling the same. Asterisk, Jennifer made a face and said, I only remember the names of the Indians, and that's because they already introduced themselves. Asterisk, I said, so you're talking about Rajpal? Asterisk, she replied, usually, we remember Americans by their names, but when I noticed that Suraj didn't know mine, I introduced myself, Jennifer, thanks for hitting the target. Now you won't forget my name. Asterisk, she added, after we go back, you can call me to test my memory again, day, if you like. That way, I'll get to hear your beautiful rich voice too. Asterisk, then Jennifer let out a charming little laugh, and just before anyone could add anything, we were summoned by the instructor. The next period had started. Asterisk, while walking back toward the classroom door, Jennifer asked, so, tell me your names. Now, asterisk, I said, my name is Essen, and my friend here is Sardar Khan, pointing to Sardar, who had stayed quiet the whole time. Asterisk, she repeated my name in a slightly odd accent and said, Essen. Asterisk, I told her casually, just say anything close to it. You don't have to get it exactly right. Asterisk, she wasn't offended. Still adjusting her scarf, she said with a playful gaze, if I start calling you just E, will you let me? Asterisk, I replied, not at all. I'll only let you call me E, if I can call you J in return. Asterisk, she smiled flirtatiously, and said, done. Asterisk, I continued, by the way, in our culture, we only let the most sensible people answer such questions. Asterisk, she responded boldly, well, technically, I'm your senior, aren't I? I shot back a smile, and headed toward the instructor. Jennifer ended up sitting right next to me and Sardar for the next 3 periods. After that, we got a 30-minute team break. Asterisk, during the break, only a few people, including me and Sardar, went for tea or coffee. Most people were more interested in the notebooks and notes they had taken. Asterisk, Jennifer chose to have coffee with us to keep us company. While chatting, she asked, Mr. E, during the first period, were you arguing with that Indian guy? She meant Shrikant, I explained. He made a comment about our education. Asterisk, she asked, Was that related to not knowing English? I said, his sarcasm wouldn't make sense to you. Even if you understood the words, the context might not be clear. She replied, I don't want to understand that Thai, just want to know how to improve memory. I said, only on one condition. She answered playfully in a soft accent. You shouldn't say no to a beautiful girl without even hearing the words first. I reassured her, it's not that big a deal. Just tell me the secret of your beauty, and I'll tell you the secret to improving memory. She gave a graceful nod and said, deal. Just then, Rajpal, who was sitting across from us, turned to his partner Shrikant, and said loudly, there's no doubt wherever there's a Muslim girl, he starts writing poetry. He said it in Hindi. I didn't take offense, but still responded, true Maharaja. And that's exactly why you people feel suffocated when we're around. Rajpal's expression changed. He was clearly getting angry. He said, you're crossing the line. I calmly replied, no, you crossed the line. I'm just putting you back in your place. It seemed there was a clear misunderstanding between the groups, and someone needed to de-escalate the situation. Meanwhile, Sardar Khan quietly took off his coat and hung it behind his chair. He didn't say anything to Salman, but his body language said enough. The jury or observer nearby should have stepped in to calm him down. Someone said politely, Mr. Khan, please, as he addressed him formally. But Sardar's silence was loaded with tension. I quickly grabbed him by the arm, sat him back down, and said, Sardar, sit. I've explained everything to him. Rajpal, however, was still glaring at us like he wanted to tear us apart. Sitting a little away on some nearby chairs, Jennifer said, Essen, why are you people so against each other? I replied, why are you people against the Russians and Chinese? She paused and said, forget it, you probably don't want to talk about it. I calmly said, but I already told you. She said, okay, in a restrained tone, and walked away, clearly. She didn't appreciate my opinion on Russia and China. Instead of trying to explain further, I turned to Sardar and said, you need to control yourself. We're not on the battlefield or at the border where you're ready to start fighting. Sardar was still angry. He said, seeing their faces makes my blood boil. I replied, you're needed here, but you also need to consider the place. You should know that if you violate discipline, we could be sent back. Just think how disappointed our seniors would be, knowing how much money was spent to send us here. He responded, I swear, I'll crush them in the training ground. There, we'll show them what we're made of. Sardar brightened up a bit, and said, Inshallah, that's exactly what will happen. As people began heading toward the classroom, I stood up. Sardar nodded, understanding my point. After the team break, the instructor gave us just one more drill and then dismissed us, saying, tomorrow, everyone must report in their National Army uniforms. That evening, there were no formal gatherings, so both Sardar and I put on our tracksuits and went to the training ground. It was a beautifully designed facility. After completing 20 laps of the 400-meter track, we headed to the gym. For a sniper, both physical and mental health are crucial. A sniper must be as mentally strong as they are physically fit. The ideal sniper should also have patience and composure, something fiery types like Sardar sometimes lack. During missions, you often face situations where you have to show restraint. You may see your companion die in front of your eyes, but you must remain calm. You may even have to let the killer go, despite having the perfect shot, simply because the time isn't right. Hunger and thirst become constant companions. These are the kind of principles that trainers try to instill in snipers from the beginning, but very few truly live up to them when the time comes. After leaving the gym, we went to our room, showered with lukewarm water, changed clothes, and offered our evening prayers right there. That night, at the dining table, I met everyone again. I saw Jennifer walking around with Shrikant, but, honestly, it didn't bother me. Whether she was around me or not, it didn't make a difference. I didn't even know why she had talked to me so much earlier. More importantly, I had no intention of getting involved with her or any woman for that matter. Especially someone like Jennifer, who was truly one in a million. And besides, I was representing the Pakistan Army. In that environment, women weren't viewed negatively, but my values didn't allow me to pursue such a relationship. That understanding was enough for me. At the dining table, food was available for both halal and non-halal eaters. The utensils were even kept separate. For Muslims, the menu included vegetables, rice, and chicken. We didn't know exactly what the others were eating, nor were we interested in finding out. So we stuck to our designated meals. There were 10 Muslims, their participants from Pakistan, Iran, Bangladesh, Indonesia, and Afghanistan. We all sat together at the Muslim food table. At that moment, I realized that no matter which country or region a Muslim comes from, there is a deep, invisible bond that ties them together: faith in Allah, the Prophet, PBUH, and the Quran. During dinner, the name roll started again. The biggest issue was with Sardar Khan, who only understood Urdu and Pashto. So I had to take care of his introductions and answers for him. After dinner, we headed back to our room. There wasn't much time left that night. As we returned, I noticed Jennifer heading alone toward a sports car. Maybe she was going to meet someone. In any case, American girls at her age usually already had dozens of boyfriends. There was also an LED TV in our room, but Sardar and I weren't interested in that. Instead, we focused on sniper-related materials, books, and sniper movies. There was a Muslim-authored book on sniping, which included terminology about rifles and descriptions of emotional challenges that Muslim snipers face. There was also a computer and dozens of media files in the room. We started watching a documentary about the life of a soldier on the front lines. I'm not saying that an American soldier is better than a Pakistani one, but I will say that their temperament is different. They are methodical and precise in their execution. Just as we had come there for a course, our time outside the training ground was also important.